Hey there, hello, there's Jeff Cutterdub and welcome you to another Degrassi Poll video that I've done. I've done several poll videos in the past. Just going to just going to pull up from my Degrassiisms. Obviously that I do my poll videos on my Degrassiisms playlist and not my unpopular opinions list unless I talk about the top 30 unpopular opinions in the first 100. So, got a lot of poll videos here. What was the first poll video? Uh, there's a poll video too, but where's from the, oh, number one. Did I move that up? I apologize. I screwed up. Oh, yeah. The first poll video is who was the second biggest villain in the aftermath? Well, there's poll video 7 top 10 storylines within the Rick Murray storyline, like the top things that people had to do in season 4 and all that. Yeah, the 10 villains that were not named Rick. The second one was Emma's best relationship with a boy, and everyone said Sean. The best Emma phase, like what was the best Emma phase? Fourth is the best unpopular opinion for the Rick Murray storyline that I posted. Poll video 5, who's the best of the 4 horsewomen, like Maya, Emma, Claire, or Holly J, and you all voted Holly J. Degrassi's most triggered characters, like who's the most triggered in Degrassi history. The top 10 Degrassi storylines I did, but that was in a poll video, kind of a poll video. Top 10 Degrassi parents. The 10 worst Degrassi parents, I think that was a poll too. The top faculty members, the top Degrassi characters through polls, the worst 25 Degrassi characters. The top 10 Degrassi characters with 100 plus episodes. The top black hole characters in Degrassi history. I did a video about who had the biggest regression of any OG character in Degrassi, top progressions and regressions, the top schedules right now, the best mental health storyline video. I did that, and I think that's it. Yeah, so I've done a lot more than I thought I did. So anyway, a couple weeks ago, I actually posted a poll, and just for context, is being taped on January 24th. 2022, and it said, after a post about the episode of Purito bullying Derek, I decided to take it upon myself to do kind of a poll/post to deal with the worst authority figures in Degrassi history. I'm pretty much gonna I might add Mr. Lawrence for the Degrassi junior high days, because despite him being unseen and being the principal, some things irked me about him. But the 6 poll options were what I think are the top 6. My ranking was Shep was number 1 for worst, then Pill, then Raj, Perino, Simpson, and Eckos. My reasoning is that Shep was a raw guy who got away with so much in last one season. Pill used cameras with speakers to spy on her students, and also the no affection policy. Raj screwed up the Rick situation and had a hatred of Emma, probably other people. Perino is no nonsense, but he could have short temper and piss students off. Simpson is a tool of the school board, and some Karens. It's a tool of the school board and some Karens. And Hatzalackles did help the school after Rick's demise, but, her mothering of Peter overtook her priorities. So I asked for any characters who would be in a top 10. So there were a couple people. So here's my list. At number 10 is Miss Dawes. Now, Tricky Tickets put it on the list, saying Miss Dawes should be on the list. While overall an unproblematic character, Love Roulette was entirely her fault. She oversaw everything and didn't step in to check on Eli's mental health at all. And then when he broke down on stage, she smiles because it's art. I guess because of the Romeo Juliet play, I think. I don't know. But yeah, Miss Dawes was okay, in fact. She was known for her LARPing too, but I think Miss Dawes should have done much better as an art teacher. Okay, I just got to make sure that I get my fingering right. Is that right? Oh, yes, that's right. Okay, so number 9 is Coach Carson. In seasons 8 and 9 of Degrassi, Coach Carson was the basketball coach. But Coach Carson preyed on the fact that Casey didn't have his parents in his life and pretended to take him under his wing like a father figure. Because and this is from Fun Size Spin. And basically, Casey's dad was in prison and his mom was nowhere to be seen. He had no. I think his mom was in prison or somewhere. I don't know, but a couple of seasons later, she came finding him. He got Casey drunk and watched him porn with him, and then he hired a prostitute to have sex with an underager, and that made Casey physically uncomfortable. Not to mention he brought a gun on school property because he was a manipulative person who cared more about scoring off the court than on it. And Casey brought a gun to school. Now, you would probably think that Casey brought the gun to school to hurt Coach Carson, but no, Casey was showing Hatzalakos and the authorities the gun that Coach Carson had and sent Coach Carson a lot out of things. So, yeah. So that's it. Number 8 is Kwan. Miss Kwan. Now, Miss Kwan should be a little bit down on the list, I admit, but because I had a feeling about Kwan and someone else, they got 7 and 8. So Kwan's number 8. Now, Kwan seems to be kind of a bully and all that. She seems to be picking on Spinner and Jimmy and all that. But Spinner, to a fault, thinks that Kwan's picking on him. It's kind of like Joey when he thought Raj was picking on him in the OG series. But, Raj just wanted Joey to do his best and to shine and all that. And I think Kwan wanted Spinner and Jimmy to do well. Spinner, unfortunately, failed her English class, twice or something. Well, once because of his dumbness, and another time because of his expulsion, which meant his school year was done for. And, of course, Spinner was upset because he felt like he was going to fail Kwan's class a third time if he has to miss school because of his cancer treatments. But Hatzalakos told him that basically you're not going to get penalized. You need to go get your treatments. I'm not going to fail you or anything. I won't let you fail. I think because of the fact Spinner was expelled and all that, Hatzalakos probably felt like she owed Spinner one. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, Kwan's got awkward things, but she's like Radich in the OG series when he was English teacher. He just wanted everyone to do well. And Yick, he had the thing with Yick, but he admitted he needed help, and he and Yick made a peace bond, which was great. And then, of course, she was stressed in season 1 when Spinner and Jimmy are upset with her stuff and all that. It's revealed that she was under pressure. Her husband is sick. She's been working a lot. She has a lot more to take up, and she just broke down. But I liked Kwan. She was good. Anyway, number 7 is Mr. Lawrence from the OG series. I can't really think of any terrible teachers in the OG series. Well, Mr. Colby comes to mind, but he was more of a substitute, so I can't really make Colby on the list. But Colby would be terrible because of the fact that he took over the English stuff from Raj while he had appendicitis. And basically, he preyed on Lucy, and Colby preyed on Lucy and Susie. But thankfully, he got stopped. But that's not it. The OG character is Mr. Lawrence. I mean, the guy made announcements over the speaker, but we never saw him in the Degrassi Junior High series once. Not a picture or his face and all that. He always communicated with Doris and all that, through the speakers and all that. Doris was a decent character, but Mr. Lawrence really wasn't. It's like, what type of principal was he? Especially with the whole Spike pregnancy thing. It wasn't all Lawrence's fault. I think he may have had his inkling he should have kept Spike at the school, but because of the era of the teen pregnancy in the 1980s when it was very taboo and all that shit, he basically said, oh, what am I going to do? And then the parents basically threatened to take their students out of school if Spike was allowed. So Lawrence basically buckled under the pressure and didn't allow Spike to come back, despite Spike being smart and Raj saying that she should take her exams at the very least. But in the sense, Emma was allowed to deal with her daughter. Well, Emma was taken to the junior high one day when the babysitter actually had to go away for business. But yeah, it would be fun to see what Mr. Lawrence really looked like. Some people said he was like Toby, but creepier. Anyway, so now here comes the top 6 and all that. All I gotta say is number 1 is who I thought it would be. Number 2 is the number 2 person I thought ended up being third. Number 4, I figured, number 3 I figured was number 2. Number 4 was in the right spot. Number 5 was actually what I thought was number 6, and what number 6 was number 5. Confused? Not good. But anyhow, here we go. So in 6th place with 9 votes, oh yeah, I gotta do the fingers. In 6th place with 9 votes was Simpson out of 304 votes. So Simpson, and I put his problem was he couldn't balance his principal duties and being there for the kids. So yeah, it was really hard and all that. People have said on some of my posts that, Simpson couldn't find the balance between helping the students and helping the school board. Basically, Simpson realized that you can't be liked by everybody. It's either you're liked by the students, but not by the parents/school board, or vice versa. You're liked by the parents and school board, but not the kids. Simpson was decent as a principal in a sense. Like he brought some stuff in to try to help students learn better. But, Vegas Knight in his first year as being principal was just terrible and all that. He had to buckle to the school board's pressures because of all that. I wonder how much Mrs. Torrance had on Snake. I mean, I know that she was angry because Snake did not handle the fact that Riley, hazed Drew and all that. And a lot of people said Drew got back at Riley because of his homosexuality, but Drew didn't. Drew only did it because it was the right thing to do. So basically, because she was overprotecting Drew for 2 seasons, I feel in a sense that, she was on Snake's case. I wonder if it wasn't her son, what would have happened? But also because she wanted the school to be thankful to Adam, being transgendered. So Simpson did the uniform thing. He overreacted to a lot of people. He put this female sensitivity class and all that, basically to please Mrs. Torrance. I don't think he ever did. And then he got a new enemy in Mrs. Rivas, Zoe's mom in season 13, who was upset over this fact that Snake is not punishing Maya for what she did. Like, Maya deserved some punishment, but I think Snake went overboard, and that's why Maya didn't really like Simpson at all. And, he was presiding over Camp Suicide and all that, and he helped Eli out by saying he was in that same situation too, finding a student who killed himself. But yeah, Simpson couldn't get the balance. Like, it's like the Homer Simpson thing when he said one episode that Lisa, I either underparent or overparent. There's no in between for me. I'm like a light switch. Well, how about a dimmer switch? But anyway, yeah, it's like a dimmer switch and all that. He either he overdoes it or underdoes being a principal and all that. It's gotten such to the point that in Next Class, the last season, he was only in one episode, the finale. Anyway, so number 5 with 17 votes was Hatzalakos. Great principal, but too leaning on Peter. Season 4 to 7 and 9 as principal. So Hatzalakos was a science teacher. She was in a few episodes. She was okay. And then all of a sudden she gets promoted to becoming principal once Raj is shown the door. She does a good stance on getting Spinner and Jay expelled for their actions. Like, Spinner did confess his guilt. All that. I figured that she knew that Spinner had troubles because, the school was buzzing about how Spinner told Jimmy everything, and they basically chastised Spinner. I just wonder how Hatzalakos didn't just step in and talk to Spinner. I think Spinner would have confessed then, too. Maybe he would go after Jay. Who knows? But anyway, she made the right decision. She actually made kind of a smart decision. I don't know if it was a smart decision for her not to let the police get involved in, Jay and Spinner causing Rick, hurting Jimmy, and then doing the paint and feathers thing. I think she figured that Spinner was going to should have to be expelled, but not face police repercussions, because that would really ruin Spinner. And she didn't want Spinner to feel that terrible. She told Spinner in season 5 he was on a short leash, and he tries to prove that he has changed to his friends and get his friends back, which he successfully does by the end of season 5. Unfortunately, the problem is her leniency on Peter was terrible. I mean, Peter distributed a topless video of Manny and all that. And all he got was detention and all that. He was involved in a street racing thing. He only got community service, although he was under house arrest and seemed if he wasn't at school. And the simple fact is that, he purposely used drugs to plant drugs in Sean's locker so that Emma would be with him and not Sean. And Emma called him out on it. I also wonder, did Hatzilakos even know? I wish Emma had basically told Hatzilakos everything about Peter, because I think Peter might have been expelled or something like that. Emma should have done it herself. Even if nothing works out, it's on Hatzilakos' head, not Emma's head. Simpson, I know, wanted to do something, but Sean said, "No, that's not going to work because I'm not going to be brought back to school." Well, Peter would have been expelled and all that. Yeah, she was just trying to get Peter's love and all that because she and her husband were divorced, and she wanted to deal with Peter in such a way that Peter will favor her over his dad. Although I think Peter would have favored Hatzilakos over Peter's dad in the first place. So she leaves for Regina in season 8. Peter is left by himself. He falls victim to a drug craze, trying to get in with Mia's modeling crowd. She leaves for Paris, leaves him high and dry, and Hatzilakos comes back mostly to become principal after Shep screwed everything up. So yeah. So number 4 with 18 votes was Perino, just ahead of Hatzilakos. Short-tempered, issues with students. He was there almost every year. Perino was introduced in season 2, and he was with Degrassi all through till season 18. Or next class, season 4, if you call it that. So it was funny. Perino was okay. He had some good moments and had some terrible moments. Perino basically telling Emma that the grace period for after the shooting is almost over. You've got to participate in my class and all that. And Emma says nothing. He should have told Simpson about his concerns. But I don't know what his tactics were. He got in trouble for getting mad at Derek for an incident with the coffee and all that and threatening Derek. But of course, Perino tried to pull the wool over Simpson's eyes and all that. But it didn't work out in the end, and that Hatzilakos will investigate him, and he would have to take some time off. And that Simpson would protect Derek from everything. Like, he was kind of a dick and all that. He was kind of dickish like Quan. He just wanted everyone to do well. But, he lightened up near the end of his tenure. I think that they said that he was tough but fair. All that. But I guess his problems with Derek were huge. A lot of people said, well, it's Derek. He was a scuzzbag. But that was before he was a scuzzbag. Derek in seasons 5 and 6 was decent. But after season 6, he was more of an idiot. Especially season 8, by participating in trying to ruin Jane's football career. And by framing Danny for a crime he didn't do. Like, Derek was manageable in seasons 5 and 6. But if it was season 8, Derek, you have more sympathy towards Perino. But because it's not, you can't. Number 3 on the list with 20 votes was Pill. The cameras and the no affection policy lasted half a season, as I said. So the fact of the matter is that Pill was only around for half a season, but she caused chaos. She was brought into the school to bring Degrassi back into good repute after the Degrassi nudes scandal happened and all that. She threatened to put Zoe to the police. Zoe had to do community service or else serve 5 years in prison for child pornography. And Zoe didn't understand it, saying, don't you have anything else better to do? Technically, no. So the fact of the matter is that Pill forced Zoe to work cafeteria duty and all that. She took away the cell phones and backpacks because of this whole thing. And Zoe, was trying to get her favor of everybody. But 2 policies she had were terrible. The whole thing with the cameras in the hallway. Okay, cameras in the hallway to see what's going on and all that. But then to have microphones attached to it so that she could hear what problems occur and how people care about them. And then, she could try to help and all that. She wanted to help the students. Okay, you can help the students. But then you go overboard, especially with Claire, about Claire's miscarriage and all that. Claire is about to be valedictorian, but then she decides that she has to do the right thing and basically lashes out at Pill. Pill says, "You have a great job as a politician, but not as a valedictorian." And then Claire decides to smash up the cameras, gets a 2-week suspension, loses her student council privileges while she was the vice president next to Drew. And of course, let's talk about Drew and Pill. The no affection policy. I don't know why there was even a no affection policy. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I'll be doing a Degrassi unpopular opinion on her soon, but still, it just doesn't make sense. But regardless, Drew tries to do a proposal to Becky, but gets in trouble, even though he gets shot down. So she forces Drew not to go to prom. Okay, fine. So Drew obeys her, and Mrs. Torrance, aka Audra, said, "What are you doing? You should be at prom." But Drew doesn't want to risk problems. So anyway, Drew is told to save the prom because of a boat mishandling. So he gets the stuff from the school to decorate the dot. They have a prom. Pill's not too happy because only she and Drew knew the passcodes and said, "Did anyone else aid you in this situation?" Would be in this trouble. Drew refuses to out Dallas and everyone else. But then she says, "Well, congratulations. You will get your diploma in the mail, but you will not cross the stage. And I have to make sure that everyone knows about the policies going forward." I'm like, it's a graduation thing. How did they know about underclassmen won't be there? But I think she was trying to prove to her bosses that she could do a good job. She needed to make sure that Degrassi plays her way. Unbeknownst to her, or I don't think she knew that Audra was part of the school board. Not one of the major higher-ups in the school board, but enough to cause trouble for Simpson and to cause trouble for Pill. Thankfully, the seniors actually allowed Pill, with their gratitude, does the stuff with the caps, and Pill says, "I know about one thing about this school, solidarity." So she allows Drew to cross the stage. Excellente. Like Audra, I think Audra, in a sense, knew because she saw Drew's problems and all that firsthand, and she's like, "Wait a minute, Drew was right about this." I think Drew probably told Audra about Pill being a dick. And it cost Pill dearly. I mean, even if they wanted to bring Pill back to the school, they couldn't. Simpson was cleared of all charges, so I guess they had to bring him back to the school. And plus, I think Pill was only there for half a year. She was going to be a substitute for the time being, and that was all she was going to be. But, her whole problems with the cameras and no affection policy didn't help her case. And that just added to her dismissal. All right, number 2 with 43 votes is Mr. Radich. 4 seasons as principal. Radich came from the OG crowd. He was an English teacher. He was kind of a bully in a sense, depending on how, Joey thought he was a bully. Vicky thought he was a bully. But he was just trying to he was trying to help people and all that. I mean, he and Joey had a peace bond after Raj became vice principal at Degrassi High. He wasn't the principal. He was the vice principal. The principal was never seen or even talked about who the principal was. Raj was just basically the mouthpiece. Regardless, he came back to Degrassi with Degrassi Community School, which was amazing that, he would be back in that situation to become principal. I mean, Raj in the first few seasons as principal was okay. Season 1, he had to deal with Spinner mooning the school and wanted to know if Spinner gave his ADD pill to somebody. Spinner knew he gave it to Jimmy, but he didn't want Jimmy to get in trouble, so he said nothing and took a big punishment for that. Season 2 is when he became very unbearable. He appeared in all but, 2 episodes in Season 2? But regardless, in Season 2, he showed his good side and his bad side. His bad side was when he was mad with Emma over the protest over GMO foods and all that. Basically, he was upset that Emma caused a food fight with flyers, even though that was false, because who took Emma's flyers? Only 4 people, probs. But the fact is that, he had a war with Emma, wanted Emma to apologize for everything over the school's video system. Emma apologizes for the food fight, but says that it's my freedom of choice to protest, all that. Although Emma kind of got it wrong in a sense. But she tells the school about Radich forcing her to apologize. And so Radich suspends her anyway. But I think it's a way to try to get the students to learn that he's the boss and not to take him for granted. And a lot of people say Radish was the bad guy in this situation. Emma did some bad stuff too, but the true bad guy was Radish. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Anyway, Radish had his good moments. In season 2, he actually helped Craig deal with his problems and all that. Told Craig that he could stay home for the rest of the term and not worry about exams because he won't fail because, his dad's dead. All that. And then at the dance, when everyone wants to calm Craig down, Radish says, let him get it out of his system. And, Radish did the right thing by calming Craig down and even being at at Albert's funeral. Good for him. He was at Will's parents' funeral too. But Radish also had slid down the scale. I mean, his Saturday detentions, that's fine. Like, people deserve detentions for their problems. Jimmy and Jimmy and Toby changing grades on a school computer. Hazel for looking at inappropriate sites. Not Ellie. Ellie for her cutting. Not Ellie for cutting. Ellie for cutting class. All that for her lateness. Although Ellie purposely did it because she wanted to get a story for her co-op, which was stupid. And people probably thought that Ellie was spying on the Saturday crowd for Radish. Thankfully for Radish, it was found out that Ellie wanted to do a school newspaper article. So basically, Radish wasn't blamed for that. He would have been dead beat. And, Sean for just being insulting to Radish. Radish didn't like Sean talking back to him. So Radish basically was kind of a dick in a sense. Season 4, he was totally a dick. Like, allowing Rick to come back to the school in the first place was just terrible. And then that stupid deleted scene that should have been in the finished product about the fact that, Rick hasn't been charged with anything to his knowledge, and Terry's not even at Degrassi. She's at private school. I can't talk about her affairs and all that. Like, and then admonishing Emma for her stupid causes, which led to Emma getting a little bit triggered, so to speak. A lot triggered, if you ask me, but that's the point. Anyway, Emma aside, Radish just didn't listen to reason. He could have just told the students over the loudspeaker or at an assembly why Rick is back and saying his hands were tied. People probably won't believe him, but at least he lets the students know about these things and not let the students' imaginations grow wild, which they did. And, the Orange Ribbon campaign was probably his attempt to try to get Radish to realize that, he's making the wrong move by allowing Rick back at school. Like, Radish protected Rick. Let's not forget that. And then, all of a sudden, he drops Rick in Time Stand Still Part 1. I think he was tired of Rick always coming to him complaining and all that. Although Rick never said that Jimmy bullied him, all that. If he had done that, Radish would have either gotten to the bottom of it, or at worst, he would have just told Rick, the next time this happens, tell me and give proof, because then I'll destroy all this problem. And then, he saw the paint and feathers thing from his office because, the TV screen, the computer screen, and admonishes the students and wants to help Rick out. But Snake, in another deleted scene, tells Radish that, what's your plan? And says he can't do any more harm if he's not here. And basically, he lashes out at Snake, trying to give him constructive criticism. Not once, but twice, in the media room after the shooting and all that. Because Radish wants warning signs, or the police want warning signs, but Snake says that Radish should be to blame too. And Radish says, I have 700 students. How was I supposed to know someone was going to overreact to some paint? He's right. But the fact of the matter is that Radish mishandled the situation. And the aftermath, having a hokey musical and all that, trying to make Degrassi look good in other people's eyes, it was for his own ego. And he was basically reassigned or canned or fired or whatever you call it. He was terrible. And then number 1 with 197 votes. 197 over 304. I'm going to have to get the cell phone to say it. Okay. Let's see. 197 over 304.
The answer is approximately 0.965686.
No, wrong. No. 197 over 304.
The answer is approximately 0.648026.
So about 65%. So it was a 65% of people voted for this. So now my phone now has voice recognition and all that. So anyway, Shep got a lot of votes. I figured he would get a lot of votes because like his rah-rah mentality screwed up. He had alienated a lot of students, including former students. With former students, like from Lakehurst. Remember, he was part of Lakehurst before it burned down in season 7 and forced the Lakehurst students to come to Degrassi. But the fact is that, you know, he alienated a lot of people. He made Holly J student council president without an election, and Sav took him to task, and basically Shep gave him the spot to be vice president to shut him up, in a sense. And then all of a sudden, you got yourself, like, the football team. The first time there would be a football team at Degrassi, which would be great. And he doesn't protect Jane from being abused by her fellow football players, and then praises Jane only when it was necessary. So anyway, it's just how you feel this way. So anyway, and Jane had her own problems to deal with. The simple fact is that, the Shep really was more of a raw guy. He didn't like students that were like nerds or all that. I feel like in a sense that he just wanted people to bow down to him or think that he wanted to please the students and all that. He made some sexually active comments towards Holly J and to, I think, Anya, in a sense. He was flirting with, oh no, Mia, he was flirting with, in a way. So yeah, so it just doesn't work out that way, which was kind of creepy and all of that. He was being creepy to these girls and all of that. Snake didn't like it. And, his whole problems with Connor being different. And then, thankfully, Claire doing something about it, stating that she has to do something about it. Gets Shep in trouble. Shep doesn't get fired. He just gets put into a sensitivity training camp and all that. So that doesn't do it for him. He stays at the end of season 8, but he hasn't really changed. So basically, he's out the door, and here comes Hatzalakos come back. So yeah, Shep was just terrible in a whole bundle of different kettle of fish, if you ask me. So anyway, thanks for watching this poll video, and have a good day.